Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to ZBrush Live, Kermaco Designworks, Hard Surface, and Character Design. I will be with you for the next couple of hours. My name is Ara. If you've watched any of my streams before, that's great. And yeah, so like and subscribe and definitely do that, because if you do like and subscribe, then we basically can continue to do this, and also try and be on live, because if you're not, then if viewership is down, then we will stop doing these. So let's keep it going. Tell your friends. Let them watch it live if you can. Definitely subscribe to the channel. There's other streamers on here, although that might be changing. So definitely do participate and do all the internet things, juice the algorithms so we can continue to do this. Again, I don't really get paid for doing this. I do it for the community. And if the community is not participating or showing participation, then I probably will not continue to do it. So please continue to like, subscribe, and follow us so that we can continue doing this. All right. And on a lighter note, definitely ask questions during the stream. This is one of the benefits of the stream. And if you have questions and you're watching this after the fact because you couldn't watch it live, which I totally understand if you're in another time zone or whatever, you can leave the questions in the comments. I did respond to somebody last time and will continue to do so. Again, I do not work for Maxon. I am an independent artist, and I do this because I want to help out the ZBrush community as much as I can with answering questions and showing workflows and whatnot. Okay, so with that, if you guys can let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, then we can continue with this character that we worked on last time. This is the second episode. So last time we did this and we did a crowd, and today I'm going to try to do a crowd. Last time we did it with array mesh, and this time I'm going to try and do it using Nanomesh because I think we can get some better results. Okay, I don't know why his pedestal isn't showing up. There it is. And I think there's, yeah, I think that's everything. Okay. Good. All right. So, yep, if you could just let me know. I see a few people on here. If you could let me know in the chat whether or not you can hear me okay, we can continue. My levels are showing good over here, but you never know with these systems, things change. So let's make sure you can hear me okay and see my screen. So, yeah. All right. So, still waiting for that. I think there's a few minutes of lag between what we show and the actual stream itself. So I'll wait a few minutes here. Hopefully somebody will chime in. I'm just working on this top of the helmet here, just to kind of create a tip for the top here. And I think I might taper this a bit on the top part. Oh, I guess if I subdivide it, I can't. So I'll just go back to before I subdivided it. Okay, the Strawberry King, thank you for letting me know that you can hear me fine. And welcome back, by the way. Thank you for continuing to be on here. It means a lot to us. Okay. So here I'm just going to go and taper this just a little bit on the top in the other direction, something like that. Okay, and these are all the functions of the gizmo. So I'm okay with this. I'm just going to accept it. And now I can subdivide it once just to kind of get a little bit of subdivision level on it. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a kind of a circle with a hole. There are different ways of doing this. The way I like to do it, of course, is to use my kit bash kit. So I'm going to insert a Polymesh 3D here and press W to get the gizmo, and then rotate this thing like so. And then in my kit bash kit, my primitives kit bash kit, I'm just going to use the cylinder. I'll just use this one, the 32, and there it is. And I'm just going to solo this out. So that's all I see. Turn on polyframe so I can see the geometry on there. And honestly, there's most of this I don't need. So what I'm going to do here is just go in and delete what I don't need. I'll just start with this over here, like so. Delete a poly loop, get rid of this one. Okay, and then I don't need this inside, or when I'm at it, I'll delete this one too. So all I need is this outside ring, so I'm just going to delete this one as well. Delete, this time I'm going to delete an island, which means all of this geometry on the bottom and all of this. I'm going to turn double on so I can see both sides. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here is mask this inside loop. So mask, edge loop complete. And I'm just going to mask this inside loop. I'm going to bring this back, everything back by unsoloing it. And I'm going to go ahead and expand this out. And this is basically where all the people are going to be. So I'm just looking at it from a perspective of how far do I want, and I can change this later on, by the way. All right, so that's the outside part. Now I'm going to go to the inside part. So just flipping the mask here and doing the same thing with the inner radius so that it just kind of goes to the edge of our little temple over here. Okay, so I'm just going to look at this from the top. Okay, just a little bit more in. And that looks about right. Maybe just a tad more, just so it intersects it a little bit. Okay, there it is. Good. And now I'm just going to bring this down. Oh, unmask, bring this down to the bottom here, to the floor. Maybe further down all the way to about there. And I'm going to give this thing a dynamic thickness just for kicks so I can see where the top is. And I'm just going to lift it just so it hits the bottom over here. And then I'm going to turn off dynamic. I don't need it. And here we are. We just created this disk. And what we're going to do is we're going to put people on here. So I've got my main kind of character in the center, which is this deity. And I have a copy of him here, which is basically the same thing at a lower resolution. Now this thing is about 9,000 polygons, which might be a little too much. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to let's try dynameshing it down at 128, see what we get. That brings us to 8,000, which isn't that much lower. Let's go further down here than 128. Let's go 64. Let's see what we get there. Dynamesh. And at 64, we get about, let's see, 2,000 polygons. I think that's okay. And that definitely gives us a silhouette of the person, more or less. I'm getting some weird kind of polygon stuff happening over here, but that's all okay. I'm going to go up a bit. I'm going to go up to, it was 64. Let's go to 100 and Dynamesh. I think that's a little bit better. And I'm going to mirror and weld this thing so I have symmetry in the middle. And then once I did this, I'm going to zero mesh it at same just to see what I would get. So yeah, that made the poly count even more. So my polycount now is 8,000. I think I'm just going to stick with what I got. The 9,300 is actually pretty good. And this is this is my topology model that I use all the time. And every single edge loop is necessary. So I'm not going to delete anything. I'm just going to keep it as is. The only other thing I want to do is add the eyes to this. So here are the eyes. I'm going to duplicate that and merge it down. And so Vision Blind Studio, thank you very much. Tell people to come and watch. The more people we get, the better this gets. And if you watch it live, it's even better. Okay, so I just basically popped these eyes in. And I don't know if these eyes had subdivision levels on them. Let's see. I should not have done that yet. Oh. All right, let me... inadvertently, I think I added the eyes without, just gonna select that, invert it, and let's see, do these eyes have subdivision levels on them? They don't. They have a lot of, I mean, I don't know if I need this much detail. I guess it's fine. Okay. All right, so here's our guy right there. I'm gonna solo him out. And, oh, did not mean to do that. Come back. Okay. All right. So there they are. And I think I'm going to turn off polyframe and solo this guy out. So there he is. Okay. And there's this red part here. And it's on the back too. And I'm just going to leave it for now. I don't really care. I'm going to go to the paintbrush here. My stylus and go to ZBrush, brush 1, paint, and I'm just going to turn symmetry back on, and I'm just going to paint this part red like that. Okay, and then the back, it's fine. Okay, all right. And I wonder if I should paint his eyes as well. I'm just masking the bottom part, and let's pick whatever color this is, and actually, why not make the eyes red as well? Let's see what this does. Right. I didn't like that. So what I'm going to do here is, again, do the trick I did earlier, where I'm just going to select a little bit of this, Control A to select everything, and then select the, oops. And to select the inverse, I just do that. And here I'm going to fill the eyes, just the eyes with red. I think this has a different material on it, so let's go ahead and do an mRGB. Actually, here, I just want to fill it with flat color, and mRGB, let's choose white, fill object. Some of it is masked for some reason. Now it's good. And now let's go ahead and go to startup material, and let's bring the person, let's just fill it with red. Let's just pick a red. Actually, let's pick blue. Here we go. Some bold colors here. Okay, so there we are, and now this character here is sitting at around 12,000 polygons, which is still a lot. But I'm going to do some things here where I just don't need this level of definition on the back. So I'm just going to just tone down the musculature a bit. And that's okay. I really don't need the hands or the fingers, but that's fine. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to create a Nanomesh brush with this guy. So I'm just going to turn off perspective off. I just have him facing the way I want the brush to face. So I'm just going to go to the brush menu and go to create and create an insert mesh brush. Let's just do, I guess I need to do this first. New. Okay, so now I've got a insert mesh brush, which basically is this guy. So like, you know, I can just draw 100 copies of him. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to create a Nanomesh brush with this. Okay, so now I've got this as a Nanomesh brush. So the next thing to do, I'm going to hide this guy. I don't need to see him anymore. Is go back to that disk we created. Which, where is that disk? I should move it to the bottom so it's easy to, I think it's this one, but I'm not sure. Yep, it is. Okay, and let's turn polyframe on. And what I want to do is fill this thing with, again, same thing as before. I'm just going to go and pick this material and white and mRGB on, fill object. So now it has that, and now I can just go to startup material, and now it will change with whatever material I choose. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to insert the Nanomesh here, but I'm going to do it with ZModeler. So ZModeler, insert Nanomesh. And instead of single poly, I'm going to do all polygons, okay? And I'm going to lift up this. This is basically the depth of the brush. And you can find this under brush and I think depth here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I just have it on my UI, right? And I'm just going to go ahead and draw our guy up. Okay, and notice here that it is definitely not facing the right way. So maybe I can start drawing him up from here and rotating him to a certain angle. And it doesn't really matter at this point. But what I want to do is turn everything else back on. See, the guys are too big, so I want them to be smaller. So here we go. And then as I'm moving my mouse back and forth, I'm rotating, right? And I just want it to be the right size to about there, like that. No, it's still too big. Good news is I can continue to do this forever until I can get... Actually, it doesn't even matter. I just want it to face the person. So I just want to make sure that all of them are facing the deity in the middle. I don't know if it's a deity, it's just a statue or whatever. Okay, so there's the guy. There are the guys. Now is where the magic comes in. When I go to the Nanomesh menu, and here's the size. So I can actually make the size smaller here, which is a lot easier than while I'm adding it. So here I'm just going to make the size small to about there, right? So they can go inside of that temple. Okay, there they are. And now I want a whole bunch of these guys. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and turn on random distribution. Okay, let's save before I do this, just because it's going to be a lot of geometry I'm going to be throwing at this in a minute. Okay, so now that that's saved, let me turn perspective on. It kind of makes more sense. And now as I move random distribution up, you can see that it's randomly adding these people, and they're all facing the direction I need them to face. So now I'm just basically populating this with a bunch of those folks. I actually don't need to have polyframe on. And so now I've got a crowd of people watching or kind of standing there. And let me turn perspective off for a second just to make sure that the height is okay. Yeah, it's okay. I could probably make them a little bit taller, so 0.051 maybe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now I can just continue to do this. And I can change the seed just to kind of distribute these differently, like if something looks better than the other. And I can probably, a better way to see this is to look at it from the top, like so. And I've got 168 here. Let's go for 200. 200 starts cutting out here, so that's too much. So let's go for 180. Okay, that's better. All right, so here are all the people. Now what's really cool about this is that I can do things like I can press, I can make the, oops, didn't want to do that. I can make the ring bigger, like so, and the people will just kind of be distributed accordingly. And I can even make it smaller as well. Right? Okay. So now I've got my crowd, and what I want to do next is, let's see if I can go up in number even more. So with Nanomesh, I can also, like, everybody has the same height right here, so you can see just like a straight line of the height of people. So I'm going to do some little things here where I'm going to change the height variation. So I'm just going to move this up and down a bit, and now you can see that the height is being different in different areas. So the height variation, and let's not do that. Something like this. All right, so this is something that takes a lot of calculation, so I'm just going to wait and see. Oh, there we go. This is why I save, or a quick save before I do these things, because you know, playing around with this much geometry is kind of a, you know, a taxing thing on my computer, and this kind of stuff always happens. So, all right, here we go. Let's load that in. Right, so we just kind of had it at this point, so you guys get to see me do this again. This time, hopefully, we will nail it. Okay, so and that's why I wanted to make the number of number of people less, right? So here I'm going to go to Nanomesh again, and again I'm going to actually, let's do the height variation before we do the distribution. Okay, so let's vary the height here. It just has to be subtle, it doesn't have to be too much. And now we can do the random distribution where it starts adding the people. Okay, and that, you know, it looks kind of like there's not a straight line. You can see some people are taller, some people are shorter, and it groups them together in a weird way, which is fine. And I don't want to really offset anything, but I also want to change their rotation. So I want to change their Y rotation a little bit, and oh, no, that's not the one. Their Z rotation. Oh, don't crash again. I'm going to leave it be this time. I'm not going to click or do anything. Oh, there it is. Okay. Third time's the charm. I like that you're saying I'm a master and I've just crashed ZBrush twice. But I'm taxing it. I mean, this is, you know, like really throwing a lot of polygons at it. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this part a little bit smaller, just so there's a bigger concentration of people, and I think that's going to be enough people. All right, same story, Nanomesh, and height variation of maybe about 1, maybe 2, 8 is too much. All right, so now what I'm going to do is start adding the number. Okay, I think that's better. All right, so there are all these people watching our guy. And then the next thing I'm going to do is do the Z rotation. And for that, I'm going to bring the number back down just so we don't crash. And that's going to be the Z rotation. And I'm just going to vary it just a little bit so some of the, so it's not like uniform. And you can kind of see some of the people turning around. Okay, so I just want to vary it a bit, like maybe about 10. I'll just type it in, 10. And then let's start pumping up the number again. So now that creates a little bit more of a random look. And you can see here that, there we go. Okay, so that's a good number. So now we have the crowd watching him, and we're good with that. I'm going to turn polyframe off. All right, so I did add some color to this a little bit offline. I've been fascinated by the design of Marathon, the game, some of the colors and stuff. So I'm going to try using some of those. So I'm going to turn this guy on, turn this guy off. Actually, this guy we don't need to see. We don't need to see the eyes. We need to see that, but I need to see the color of it. So that's the inside guy. That's the color of it. His eyes are silver. That's fine, but I can change them. I kind of like that blue that I chose, so I'm just going to choose a bluer color for the eyes. Or maybe white for the eyes. How about that? And fill object just with the color. RGB fill object. There it is. Let's make sure that that happened. It did not. Solo, because it's still got this silver material on it. So I'm going to do the same thing of getting the material to be generic. So here, I'm just going to go material. And if I go to flat color and white again and fill object, now it will take on the color that I choose and the material that I choose. Why is it still showing silver? Flat, oh, because I didn't have RGB on. Okay, fill object. Now we're good. And the color is white. That's all good. That's all good. Okay, there he is. I wonder if it would look cool if his eyes are red too. Let's try it out. Pick that, fill object. Make sure I'm just on RGB. And let's go back to that. Okay, that's actually not bad. Okay, so now let's bring in the color of the jacket, which I chose to be blue, and the color of the hat, which I chose to be white as well. And this bottom part here can be black. So here, let's pick the color of the people. And let's fill object. Where are you? Okay, that's good. And then same, the hat is fine, this is fine. This bottom part, okay, is what I just filled. Let's do that with this guy. I think this guy, these have a color already. Just turn them on, okay, okay. And I try to make some clouds here for a tune thing, but I decided against it. Turn the color on for that, roof. Okay, and then this disc here, should be filled as well. So these people don't really exist right now. So I'm just going to, maybe choose a lighter gray. something like that. Fill object. So now the people still have a color, right? But I don't. All right, here. Let me see if I can do this. I'm going to turn Nanomesh off for a second. That's the other really beautiful thing about Nanomesh is. Oh, am I on the wrong thing? I'm on the wrong thing. That's why. Okay. Yeah, this is the one. I'm going to turn. Oh, that's the other reason why it didn't happen. Okay, fill object. There it is, and the people are still the color I want them to be. Now the Nanomesh objects here are not actually there. They're just, you know, they're just a Nanomesh thing, and I can turn them off just by clicking on this right here, and then they go away, and then they come back. Okay, so there they are. All right, so now I think I want to start figuring out some renders on this. Okay, so let's go ahead. I do have a few kind of, I do have a few timelines that I set up earlier, but I don't know how good they are, so I'm going to get rid of them. And we'll set some new ones off on this. Okay, let's go ahead and turn perspective on. We got this at a focal length of 100, which is okay. I kind of like the red in the back of the heads of the people. It kind of looks like they're holding up phones or something, but they're not. It's just the back of their head. And now I'm just trying to figure out a good angle. By the way, to get a good angle, the best thing to do is to use the space mouse, which I don't have hooked up right now, but I could probably get a more precise angle for what I want if I had it connected. Maybe I'll do it next time. All right, so we have something like this maybe, and then let's do a quick render. And before I do the render, I also was playing around with some render settings here. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn all these render filters off. So what I'm going to do is go to Lightbox Filter and just turn everything off. Go here and render this stuff. Let's see what we get. Okay, you know, not bad. The light is over here. I probably will have to create brighter lights or different lights, but let's see what this gives us. Okay, that's looking good. The shadows are adding to it. Kind of like to get a more of a angle like that, closer. Let's do that as a render. All right, more or less that's working for now. And I'm just going to drop a dot on the timeline over here. I could also add a camera, by the way, store cam. That's another way to do it. Shot 1. Okay. And now I'm going to choose a different material. Or I'm going to go ahead and make a material here. I'm just going to go ahead and choose skin shade 4. And I'm going to play around with this material for a bit. Okay, so right now the material, the modifiers for it are over here. The ambient of it is 12, and the diffuse is here. And there's a diffuse curve. And you can see the curves going out this way. And I can manipulate this curve to get a different look, right? But I don't really want this kind of a look. What I want to do is get it to be stair-stepped. And to do that, I will just do the strength to, I think 1 should be enough. Okay, and that basically gives it a little bit of a toony look over here. And I can move this back and forth. Just, you know, this is basically determining this kind of shadow here. And if I want multiple colors, I can add tiles, I think, is it? Or focal shift, moves it back and forth. Now the thing to keep an eye on is this material ball over here, and that shows me like how much of it is in the shadow and how much of it is showing up. So just about there seems right. And if I want steps here, I can just add steps to get like 1 or 2 colors maybe. You can see here that slowly it's kind of getting pixelated more this way. But I think I just want to stick with maybe 2 here, 2 steps like that. So then I have a highlight and I have a shadow happening here. Let's see. Oh, way too many. I think the tiling just got out of control here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I think let's try 2. 2's too much. 1.5. 1.5 is okay. So you can see here what's going on, right? There's a lighter part, a middle part, and a darker part. And I can just play around with this to get less of a shadow or more of a shadow. And I can add some noise if I want to. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. That kind of creates this pixelated view, which I don't know if I like. So I'm just going to do that at 0. And I want the strength to be 1. Okay, so for now, I think that's okay. Actually, I think I'm just going to take the steps down to 1. I'm just going to have it be just a couple of things here. Okay, and I'm still getting a little bit of what I don't want, but that's okay. I think that's because of the specularity. Okay, so I can just basically kill the specularity here. And if I do that, I just get this kind of look. Another thing to do when you're looking for a tune is go to BPR Shadow and turn on Flat Shadow. Where is it? I think it's under Render Settings, maybe. Render Settings, where are you? Render Properties, not Settings. Okay, and then Flat Shadow, there we go. Okay, that gives it more of a tune look. Okay, so now we've got kind of 2 colors going here. And I might not like be so strict on the specular. I might want to have a little bit of it. I think it brings some stuff out. But I also want this to be stair-stepped, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to increase the step to 1, and then I can just move this back and forth. And now I basically have a specular part. And a shadow part. So what I'm going to do here is figure out, like, what was this? This was at 54. Let me go to -55 for it. And then for this one, I will do -45. Okay, so now I basically have a tune look. And this is looking pixelated here because I did not subdivide this piece, which I will in a little while. Okay, so let's do a render this way, see what we get. All right, that's not bad. Now the thing is I want to see his face, so I'm going to add another light here. So I'm just going to go to Lights and just turn another one on and move this one up a bit to here. Let's render it. All right, the shadow is still way too strong. I'm going to increase the intensity of this light a little bit. All right. It's making a little bit of a difference, but it's not really doing what I wanted to do, which is show his face. So maybe move this light down a bit. Let's see what that does. All right, a little bit better. If I rotate this up a bit to get yet another angle. Get close, like maybe we're in the crowd looking up at this guy. Okay, so there's the crowd. Move it closer. Maybe something like that. And I'm not really going to worry about these guys because I'm going to have them be in a shadowy area. Okay, and let's do a render. Okay, getting there. Let's get closer. As soon as I get the shot I want, I will go ahead and try something like this. And another thing we can do is if we want this to be more POV, we can go for a 50 millimeter focal lens, and that might give us something more human eye looking versus a camera shooting it. Maybe something like that. Let's see what that looks like. All right, we could definitely say that this could be a shot. So again, I'm just going to drop a dot here, and I'm also going to store another cam. So shot 02. Okay. Let's do an overhead. All right. That's not bad. Zoom out just a little bit more. Now what's really beautiful about this is like if there's two, you know, if I need more people, and I think this lighting here is kind of, I'm going to lift this back up to here so we get better shadows. And the shadows, let's see what color they are. If they're too harsh, I can fix that. Okay, they're a little bit too dark. And I can change the shadow color, but I'm not going to do that yet. What I am going to do now, though, is move this circle closer in. And again, all these things are, you know, non-destructive, so I can continue to do these things over and over again. I'm going to do a quick save just for kicks. And here under Subtool, I'm going to choose that ground plane, solo it out. Invert select this inner part. Again, this is just like these, this is just a pie. So what I'm going to do here is just bring that in just a little bit. Like so. And you can see all the people move with it. And so now, like some of the people are inside actually the thing, and there's not that gap. Unmask. Right, let's do a kind of a topical view, and these people are all kind of coming to see this creature or this person or whatever, deity, I guess, maybe. Right, and do something like that. And let's do a render, see what it comes out like. Okay, that's not bad. Let's even make this a little bit more interesting. Move the shadow or the light over to the left. Let's get some taller shadows. And okay. All right, that's good. And now what I want to do is, you know, get more people, right? So I've saved this, so I'm good with it. And I'm just going to go to Nanomesh here and try and see if I can get more people without breaking ZBrush. What's my number here? It's at 101. Turn this off for a minute. And I'm going to change this number to 120. I'm just going to punch it. Okay, that's actually not bad. How about 140? Okay, more people are showing up. Let's do 150. Okay, so at 150 it breaks. Like you can see that there's this gap over here. So I think 140 was the magic number. All right, so 140, we're good. And again, if I want less, you know, I want more concentration of people, what I can always do, again, just like before, is just go in here and select the outside part of this and bring it in. And then the crowd is kind of moving more towards the guy. So if I'm going to get close-up shots, I think I can do that. And the crowd just kind of moves in. It just repopulates the crowd. So Nanomesh is a really powerful feature in ZBrush, and this is just one of the many uses it has. All right, so now let's do a render. One more. I'm going to drop another. Let's do something like this. See what that looks like. Okay, not bad. All right, so now we're going to start playing around with render settings to make this look better. I think the color of the shadow is okay. I'm not going to really mess with that right now, but I am definitely going to go into BPR filters and add some filters. So the first one I'm going to do is add some noise. So this makes the image kind of look more like a photograph, but this is way too much. So I'm going to reduce the, you can just go all the way up to here. I think I'm going to go to about, like maybe about there. And you can mess with the opacity of it as well. So that just kind of breaks it up, and I don't know if you guys can see him. Hey, Kaden, thank you. You should stay on if you can, if you haven't left already. All right. So it's interesting that we're getting a lot of people from YouTube, not too many people from Twitch anymore. Yeah, the whole kind of thing is shifting. The paradigm is shifting, which is interesting. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is I'm going to go ahead and turn and sharpen this image just a little bit. So let's do a sharp. Well, actually, I'm going to do that a little bit later. Before I do that, I'm going to do an outline edge. So let's do an outline edge, and that basically adds a little outline to all the different areas here. If you guys want to see it a little bit more intense, this is kind of more intense, and actually that's not looking too bad. So let's go to somewhere about there, reduce the opacity, get something like this. Okay, that's good. And I also want to make sure that I outline the interior cavities as well as the exterior cavities. There's that, and maybe reduce this just a tad here. Okay, so now I'm going to do the other thing. I'm going to do outline cavity. Okay, and that will outline all the cavities for me. And maximizing that looks like this. And we're going to do inner and outer cavities. And you can see now it's pretty harsh. So I'm just going to reduce this number down and reduce the opacity down to get something like that. Okay, so that's good. And next thing I'm going to do is add an Orton, which lightens everything up. And if I max it out, it looks like this. If I go the other direction, it looks a lot darker. And I'm already getting an interesting atmosphere over here. But I actually want to be somewhere around here because I'm going to have a different way of darkening it. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this to 50, leave it at that for now. Now the third one is going to be a blur. And I'm just going to use the blur as a way to do depth of field. Okay, so here I'm just going to increase the radius of the blur so it completely goes up. And I'm also going to choose this at 100. So this is kind of the thing really blurred out. Okay, and what I want to do here is I want to choose a depth. So I'm going to bump the depth up to 1. Let's just keep it at 0. And then depth A is where the blurring starts. So somewhere around here maybe. And depth B is where, and I'm just basically clicking on this dialog box and dragging out, and then I just go somewhere around here is where the blurring ends. And then let's just start adding the depth information. I think maybe this one, I need to actually see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to say maybe somewhere around here. And depth B is, say, -6. So I can move this back and forth as well. Do it in big chunks. Okay, so everything in the front is kind of not blurry and everything in the back is blurry, and I'm just moving this to add more. Okay, so you can kind of see a little bit of blurring happening. And it's just simulating, and it's kind of giving it a nice glow over here, which I kind of like, unexpected, thing. And I might decide to use this or not. I haven't decided yet. Kind of adds a nice aura to the whole thing, so I think I might keep it for now. And then the last thing I want to do here, the last one, is going to be a radial overlay. And let's reset that filter. And for that, I'm just going to go ahead and increase the radius. So you can see that basically adds this kind of shadow here to these people, makes them more into a silhouette. And that's just being done with the radius. And I might just make the fall off a little bit more, kind of like that. So it basically creates a nice difference here. And I'm going to go ahead and bump that Orton all the way up. So this is even lighter. And then with this one, I'm going to move it up. Left, right, is fine. Move it in a bit. So this is kind of another way of lighting the scene and creating an interesting look. And one thing I usually like to do is turn the floor off. And if I turn the floor off, it kind of maintains some of this look. Okay, so this is pretty good. I want to add a background here, so I'm going to try and do that with the background of the canvas. See if I can do something interesting with it. So for that, I'm going to, I think I do have that here, don't I? Document. Yeah, so the back color here, let's go ahead and choose a lighter blue. Something like this. And then let's go ahead and see if we can do the range. Let's see if that shows up in the render. Now you can see these renders are really, really fast. It does. Perfect. Okay, so now I can just move that range down a little bit more. Basically, I just move it down, so like, yeah, let's just do that, and then I'll just move the center down. So there's a little bit of light in the background, but it's kind of darker at night. Okay, that's good. I think the blurring is a little bit too much. So now I'm going to go back to the render settings here. Inadvertently opened up every menu, which is not what I intended on doing. Okay, I'm going to turn the blur off. If I turn the blur off, it actually looks a lot more interesting, but I kind of like the blur a little bit, so what I'm going to do is reduce the amount of it. I mean, have it be there, but not as much. Okay, so that's one render that I have, right? So that's one look. Okay, I'm going to pop one of these guys here. Actually, I'm just going to pop one here. And store cam, and that's shot 00. Okay, and now I'm going to do some more renders. So let's go ahead and look at it from the top. Like so. And from the top, I'm going to change the lens to maybe, let's see what a 35 will look like. Maybe an 85. Now, some of the render settings might not work, but let's see what this gives us. That's kind of an interesting look right there. Okay, let's just say this is shot number. We'll add that. Store cam, shot 001. And we can try some Dutch angles here. And the way to do that is if you hold shift and let go, you can rotate the canvas this way. So maybe like something like this. Let's see what that gives us. Okay, I think that kind of looks interesting as well. So let's just add that as a third shot. My camera names are all over the place. I should have a better way of doing that. All right, so we do have some shots established. So now let's go back, and I'm going to go ahead and do a quick save on this. So I have all the settings saved, and then I'm going to save just 1 second here. Please stand by. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to go ahead and save this render setting. As that. So I've just saved the BPR settings, and let me save this as well. Sorry, I'm not showing you guys this because I don't, want to. Render settings. Okay. Right. Sorry about that. Here we go. Coming back. Okay, so I just saved the render settings so I can come back to them because I'm going to make some changes here. So here for the background, I'm going to go back to a gray, like maybe something like this. But even this looks cool. Let's see what that looks like rendered. And also, I could make his cloak more kind of subdivide it more so I don't get these blocky things, but that actually adds some character to it, so I'm going to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to change the range back to this, and now what I want to do is just add some detailing to this top part. So I basically have a good idea of what I want here, so I'm going to go ahead and save the material as well. Sorry, I should have done that earlier. Right, so now that I made this material, I can use it in the future, so I can just save it, right? I can save the material. So give me a second here, I'll do that as well. Right. Okay. All right, we're back. Oh, nope, no, didn't want to do that, didn't want to do that. Okay, here we go. All right, so now I'm going to do some work on this. And notice that this cloak, I think, is dynamic subdived. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me get my pen here. And is it? Yeah, it is dynamic. So I can turn that off. Dynamic is on now. It's interesting. Okay. See what this looks like with another subdivision level. That's good too. And I just want to make sure that it's still, I'm not subdividing, it's just still dynamic. And what I want to do here is I want to do a nifty little trick, which is basically add a border to all of the edges here. And the way I'm going to do that is just go to curve. So under stroke here, go to curve functions. And what I want to do is I want to frame the border of the mesh. Okay, so that just basically puts a curve around all the edges. Okay, and I think for this, I might need to subdivide because the edges don't really align with what I'm showing here. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. I'm going here and I'm going to go ahead and apply. Well, let's duplicate this first. Geometry, duplicate. Sorry, or subtool duplicate. So I have a copy of it, and here's the duplicate, and I'm just going to apply this to it. And now when I frame the mesh, it's going to be where I need it to be. Oh, I need to delete the lower subdivision levels. Sorry. Where are you? Doesn't have lower subdivision. Well, so why isn't it framing it? All right. Take a look at the geometry area. It's okay. It's subdivided, but somehow, oh, because is dynamic still on? No, it's not. Dynamic is off. Oh, it added the thickness. That's why. That's why. That's why. Okay. Let's go back. And I think I jumped the gun here. It's always good to do things in the right order. So I'm going to delete this one. Okay. And then go back to my original one. Okay, and the problem is that I had thickness on, so what I'm going to do here is duplicate it first and then do the thing where I turn thickness down and I apply the multiple subdivision levels. 2 of them, I think. Yep. And then delete the lower. Okay, now I have what I want. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and frame the mesh. So that puts curves around all the edges here. And then I'm going to go ahead and use the curve tube brush and just make this all the way down to 1. And just click on, let me turn symmetry off so I don't get 2 of them on each one. And just click anywhere. And that basically just puts an outline around all of these things, right? And I think 1 is good. I could go less than 1 if I needed to, but I think this works. Okay. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to separate all these out. Okay, so these are one subtool, and then the cloak is the other subtool. I think I got rid of my tool submenu here. I can just restore my custom UI. Okay, so now the cloak is over here, and this is over here. I'm going to move this down to here and create a builders folder. This is something that I do just because I have parts that I use all the time, but I don't usually, I don't need to have them up here because they could be interfering with what I'm doing. So for example, this guy that I made a Nanomesh brush with, I don't need to see him. So I can put all these in a group and hide them. Okay, turn this off, turn this on. Okay, so now we have something a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to make these curves that I created. So the curves are kind of on the inside here because this cloak actually is the one that's selected, which shouldn't be. This is the one should be. Okay, so now it's more the way I want it. But with this cloak here, I'm going to go ahead and turn dynamic on. Not add smoothing, but add some thickness to it. And here I can actually see it as I add it so that it creates an edge that basically looks like these things are kind of, you know, part of it. And what I want to do is make these parts here. I can actually delete these curves. I don't need them anymore. So curve, again, in the stroke menu. Under curve, you can just say delete curve. I think curve functions, delete. Okay, so now I don't have the curves, but I do have those. And I can fill these with white. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, that kind of looks interesting right there. All right, so I can fill these middle ones with white, but the other ones I want to fill a different color. So I'm going to mask the, oh, I'm on the, what tool am I on? Right, this one right here. So I'm going to mask these middle ones, leave them the color that they are. Why isn't it masking them? That's weird. Okay, these don't have subdivision levels. They should be masked. All right, well, maybe they are masked and I can't see it. All right, here we go. And then the rest of them I'm going to fill with blue. Actually, I want to make sure it's the same blue, so I'm just going to pick it. Fill object. Okay, so the bottom parts and the top part are blue. That kind of gives the edges a little bit more of a rounded look, like it's got a hem. And then the rest of the inside ones are white. Okay, that's cool. And then with this one, I'm going to switch out of this material back to startup material to basic material. And now that I've got this, I want to make sure that the outside part is masked so I don't do anything with it, but I don't think it matters at this point. AccuCurve, not AccuCurve. Symmetry on, and let's choose Damien Standard and start. Start giving it a little bit more definition than what it had before. If anybody is watching this on stream, can you use the chat to let me know? Watching this on Twitch, not stream. Could you let me know that you're watching this on Twitch? I'm kind of interested to see if there are Twitch people still watching this, or if it's mostly YouTube people. Because 3 of the people that basically commented were on YouTube. Where are my Twitch watchers at? Right, so that just basically, I'm giving this a little bit more definition. Maybe there's nobody watching on Twitch. I think there's ways I can find out, but I don't know I don't have access to the thing that can show me. Right now, I just see that there's a number of you watching live. So I'm just trying to get more definition into this fold. And honestly, I think if I use, let me see if this actually will work. I'm going to try and use some of these cloth brushes. And I think there's one that does exactly what I want. There we go. It's not like the Damien standard brush, but I can maybe get a little bit more cloth definition to it. So now I'm just basically doing just sculpting. Just good old, good old-fashioned sculpting. I'm kind of starting to see the whole AI thing start to fall apart a little bit. Interestingly enough, OpenAI killed Sora, and so I think that unless they deliver soon, people are going to start getting skeptical. Although the layoffs are still continuing, which is sad. Oracle laid off 30,000 people, which is a really big number of people to let go. Let's turn this on. Just want to make sure that I'm not messing up the edges here. I can always regenerate that, of course, but all right, so now it's starting to look a little bit more like this is cloth draped over, and I'm still keeping it pretty low res. I can always add subdivisions later. I don't like the stair stepping over here, so I'm going to see if I can get rid of it. Just using good old move brush. I'm going to try and do something here where I mask all the edges. I think there's a way to do that. Mask depth, normal, smoothness, curvature, peaks and valleys, color, and alpha. Mask by cavity, AO fibers, max adjust. Is there something that just masks the edge? I can't find it. Oh, mask by feature. Here it is. Border. Okay. Did that do it? Yep. Okay. So that's a good to know thing. Mask by feature, border, and that will just basically leave the border there. Actually, I'm going to do that a little ways before I do the inside part. mask by feature, and now I know that I will not touch. Like I can do whatever I want. These edges are going to stay where they are, which is nice. Okay, I'm still using that. Oh, I don't want to use the move brush. Why is it on the move brush? I want to use that cloth pinch brush. Just continue to do things this way. Create a little pinch over here. Again, trying to keep this as low res as possible, so I can just get the definition of what I'm going for. I wonder if more people will watch if we don't leave the recordings on here. If we just say the only way you can see this is if you watch it live. I'd hate to do that to you, but because most people watch these things like they're at work and they need to do something. They're like, oh yeah, you know, let's do a search, and then they find this thing on YouTube, and hopefully the hashtags or whatever figure it out. Okay, let's go back to the pinch brush. Dynamic sculpting in ZBrush is so cool. All right, so that gives the cloak a little bit more definition. And I don't really need to do too much on the back, just a little bit. A little overboard over there. As I'm saying a little bit, I do a lot. Okay, there's that. Okay. You like to watch them at 2x? Yeah, that makes sense. You can watch them at 2x, and then when you get to a part where you want to stop, you can slow it back down. It's so funny. I talk to people, and there's two types of people. One of the people or one group says, "Oh, you're too fast," and I slow it down. And then there's another group that says, "Oh, you know, like you watch it at 2x." So, Acadian, I guess you decided to stay. Oh. Thank you for that. Here I'm just adding a little bit of accentuating some of the details here. All right, let's see what this looks like overall. Okay, looking much better. I'm going to hide the, and you know, by the way, I'm rotating around with this Nanomesh thing full live, and it just shows you the power of ZBrush that it can handle it. But I'm going to turn it off for now, just because you know, it's just too distracting. I actually even want to turn off the temple, so I'm going to do that. That's the helmet, hat. It's the bottom part of the temple, this part, and I think this part as well. I'm going to get rid of these clouds. I'm going to move them to builders for now. Okay, so that's just, I'm just focusing on the person. It's so funny. I watch Mike Pavlovich's videos at 2x usually, and he talks fast, so sometimes I have to slow it back down. Okay, I'm getting some good relief on this, looking good, and just minor stuff. Let me go back to my material. Let me see if it saved it somewhere. Yeah, here we go, tune 1. Okay, so I mean, some of the subtlety is showing up, some of it is not, but that's okay, because I'm also going to render this in Keyshot later. All right, let's see what the situation is with the hat here. You can see it's pretty low res. All right, this part here is kind of intersecting down, which I don't want it to do. Let's turn transparency on and turn perspective off. Let's just move it up a bit until I don't see it. Okay, that's good. That's perfect. All right. Okay, I think this is good enough. I don't know if I want to do a lot of work with the helmet. I think it's good. I don't know why the eyes became black. I wanted them to stay white. Let's see if I can go back to them. The eyes here and change them. Might have not filled it with the right color. Okay, so let's just turn RGB on. Fill object. Okay, yeah, it's kind of like neater when it's ominous like that. Maybe that's too much. Let's make it a little bit darker. There we go. One idea that somebody had last time was to make this an alien face, so that is something that I'm considering, so let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and take the character and duplicate it. So I have a copy of it, and let's solo it out, and I only need this part. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to startup material, which is just basically the the basic material, just the normal basic material. I'm turning polypaint off. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and drop the subdivision levels down. Start figuring out what kind of alien I want. Trying to look at my reference here to see if I can get some. Okay, this might work. All right, so I'm going to go here and choose a sculpting brush. Like, let's say choose clay tubes is good. And this is, good topology that's aimed at a human, so I don't really, I think it's a good place to start to make an alien. It's always good to go up and down in subdivision levels just to kind of see what you're doing. Do I have a mouth bag on this guy? Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is use the inflate brush to get this to be this way. Now I don't really need the topology, so I'm going to go ahead and I have a copy of it, so I'm just going to go ahead and zero mesh this, dynamesh this thing, and I'm going to choose, let's say, 512. No, I don't want free subdivision levels. Okay, so now I've got about 135,000 polygons, and that's fine. Subdivide it once, just so I have 2 subdivision levels. And you can see there's some funky stuff going on here where the thumbs kind of got attached to the body, but I don't really care about that. Okay, see, you know, I haven't seen Project Hail Mary yet, so I don't know. Acadian, I have not seen the movie yet. Unfortunately, my schedule is kind of not allowing it. Okay, so what I want to do is smooth polish. What am I looking for here? H polish, not smooth polish. Okay, so here I'm going to try and establish some planes. Did it keep anything inside? No, good. Okay. All right, so now I'm just basically just normal sculpting. Popping clay tubes in here. All right. It's always ominous when you kind of carve out eyes. Something like that. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what this alien is going to look like. Hopefully I can flesh him out in the next 40 minutes. Again, this is really kind of basic ideation. I do have some reference I'm looking at, but not really fully embracing it. Oh, didn't want to do that. See if I angle it out, if it works. Okay, interesting. Again, I'm not caring about topology. This is still Dynamesh, and I'm just trying to figure out an interesting kind of looking creature or being. At any point in time, I can bring the rest of everything back. Let's hide the actual person. The eyes look funny. And I just, I mean, there's only so much of it that's going to be shown, but we were going to get some angles here. So a good thing to do is just to paint out the areas that are going to be seen. But here I'm just going to go ahead and think of the whole thing and not just what we see. Turn AccuCurve on with move here just to get some definition, some more hard kind of definition to this. And by the way, this is something that's a lot of fun for me to do, is just kind of, sit here and spend maybe 45 minutes or so and try and see if I can get some sort of a figure that looks interesting. Sometimes I just basically have to follow certain references that I have, and sometimes I just go off and do it. Sometimes the mental state also helps with this. I usually like doing these kinds of things early in the morning or late at night. Trying to get some interesting angles here. Sometimes color helps with this too. So here I'm going to go to Paint, and I'm going to start adding some paint here. It helps break things apart more. Yeah, I was really worried that we weren't going to be able to stream anymore, just because I think the number of viewers has dropped. So again, if you're watching this, let people know to watch these videos. And also to let Maxon know that you want me to continue to do this, because I don't know if they realize how valuable these are for people. All right, so back to sculpting. Not with RGB on. So here it's kind of a, a bit of a dance between the paint and the geometry. Again, that's something that you don't get to do in other programs because they're part of a pipeline. And it's really blown out here because remember the lighting, I had kind of changed it to be too much. I'm going to turn this light off. That automatically just gives me better lighting. Again, I have a, did I subdivide this? I'll just divide it once. And it's still Dynamesh, but it's subdivided once, so it's giving me a little bit more geometry. I can get a little bit more detail going. And again, it's always good to keep the lower subdivision levels so that if you want to make some major changes, you can. This is turning like a dog face almost. All right. Yeah, it's amazing how many ideas you can come up with playing around. And just, you know, 20 minutes of work and I already have like a very, you know, interesting thing that I can pursue further with this alien look. All right, let's see what it looks like. Okay, yeah, it's coming along. And I'm focusing more on this middle area because that's the area that's going to be seen. Trying different options here. Trying the whatchamacallits thing. Chin. It's not Ultron. What's the name of the Marvel villain in the Avengers movies? All right, I'm going to do something kind of interesting here where I'm going to, I don't need to redynamesh, but what I'm going to do is do the thing that I did earlier, which is the insert the brush with the tubes, the curve tube brush, and it's not happy with me because I have subdivision levels. I'll delete the lower levels. I don't need them. And one of the things that I would really like ZBrush to do is allow you to modify the size of these curves dynamically. So here I'm just putting in new geometry, which I'm just going to Dynamesh in. I mean, I could always pull this out of the existing geometry, but something to be said about doing this, what I'm doing. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, it's looking good, but Okay, so now I can just Dynamesh this in and just part of it now. And I don't care that like some of the detail that I sculpted went away, because at this stage I'm just working on ideas. So I don't really care about what's happening there. Trying to do something a little bit more original if I can. Did a quick redynamesh there. This alien has totally looksmaxed his chin here. Oh. I think this kind of mouth open thing looks good because it's like, you know, he could be saying stuff. And sometimes you design for a story, and sometimes you design and that creates the story. I mean, you have a general idea that you want to convey, which is a group of people following or listening to something. And right, I'm going to subdivide here once and delete the lower subdivision level. We want crazy with the chisel. Crazy with the chisel. Crazy with the chisel, eh? And again, it's just, you know, getting those basic shapes down. If I can get the primary shapes to work, adding detail later is going to be easy. The paint is definitely helping. I'm actually going to do a little bit more of that. In the eyes. It's always a good idea to choose your other color to be whatever you're painting on, and then you can add and subtract as needed. Okay, that's good. Now go back to sculpting. Oh, the looks maxing part. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know anymore. It just seems like mean, some of the, the faces that I see that are cut up by doctors, I guess, plastic surgeons and whatnot, are just totally scary. Like, I don't know if that's what they want or if the doctors are just total, crap artists that just make people look like monsters. I mean, seriously. Some of these people look really, really scary. It's like you can't change it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're like, I'm going to wear green today. And it's like if green doesn't work, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to wear blue tomorrow or red or whatever. Like, you change your face like that, you're stuck with it. And then if you try to make it better or different, then you even mess it up more. So it's just like like Michael Jackson, I think, was trying to change his look. And eventually, it got worse and worse and worse. All right, let's bring everything back. Okay, this is looking really ominous. I like it. Oh my God, yes. Jeez Louise, plastic surgery gone wrong. And like, I don't know if guys like that. Like, I don't know if there's guys that think like, wow, that's, that's my thing. Or, I don't know if people think, wow, this is what I want to look like. This kind of blow up doll look. I don't get it. I do not get it. With the fucking clown lips and all that, it's just too much of a joke. Yeah, like for example, if this person had that look, let's mess around a little bit. You can use ZBrush for humor. Here we'll just use the inflate brush, and here we go. Wow. All right, I'm gonna re-Dynamesh this. It's always good to re-Dynamesh every now and again. And I know I could use Sculpt Pro, but I kind of, like to use Dynamesh just because. Just because. How about that? So with AI, like, I wonder if I could reach this kind of editing with, or this level of control with AI. Like, I don't know how that's going to happen. Like, how many prompts would I have had to type to get what I want so far? All right, I want to put something inside here, so I'm just going to mask out a bit of it. And just use my Extract Pro Plus just to create a piece here, and then use dynamic and thickness to give it some thickness, like something like that. And no smoothing. And I'm just going to re-Dynamesh this thing. How dense is this thing that it made? Oh. Oh, that's why. Okay, I'm just going to apply this and then re-Dynamesh it. There we go. Right. H polish. Make it into a hard surface piece. Just a few strokes here. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I experimented with AI quite a bit when it first came. I mean, I still do. I still look at the tools and where we are with it and everything like that. And honestly, like coming at it from where I'm coming from, which is I know how to use these tools and I know how to get what I want. It takes too much time and it doesn't really give me what I want. But if somebody like who's never used ZBrush or looks at it and freaks out at the user interface, which happens a lot, or somebody who's insecure but wants to be a player, I could see that person going like, oh yeah, I can do everything in ZBrush. I can do it all, or I can do everything in AI. Yeah, all the kind of the wannabes, I guess. All right, that's looking interesting. And if they can do stuff with AI, you know, why not? You know, why shouldn't they be able to do their creative work? It's fine. I think there is enough room in the world for both parties to do what they want. I will not stand in the way of anybody making art, whether it's with AI or with, you know, sticks and stones or pistachio shells, whatever, you know. As long as somebody's feeling creative and doing stuff, I'm all for it. All right. Well, this face is coming along pretty good. Let's solo this. Oh, not that. But actually, now I need to make a view because I need to see the guy. So I go to V2 here, and all I need to see is the guy and this piece and nothing else. So I'm going to hide everything else and just show these two. Okay. All right, and then what I'm going to do also is I'm going to go ahead and mask yeah, I saw that too with the blender. Yeah, with using OpenClaw. I saw that. The thing about all these things is they look impressive because they do very minor things. And for people who don't understand what's going on, they're like, oh, it's over. You know, nobody needs to learn how to use Blender. They can just type in prompts, you know, give me a cube, you know, make it into the Starship Enterprise. And, you know, they think that they can just do that and get what they want. And, you know, if that's what they want to do, awesome. That is great. All the power to you. But people who know what's going on are like, okay, they know when the limitation is going to happen. But anybody who's, you know, anybody who's very pro AI has got money riding on it. And they're basically just, you know, pumping it, and they're going to dump it soon, and the rug pull is going to happen, and then AI is going to be like a cuss word. I hope that's not the case, but I have a feeling that that's what's going to happen. But I might not know. All right, so here I just basically am creating another piece. I don't want this one here. I want this to be a separate piece that goes on top. Like so. Yeah, the OpenClaw thing was interesting. I definitely, like, that was going around for a while in the community of artists. And it's funny because, you know, like some people will actually say what they think, and some people are just being very cautious about it. You know, why would you want to spend all this time learning ZBrush and learning Blender and learning, you know, all the things? You can just type a prompt and it gets you everything you want. Uh, you know, it's so funny. I want to be right and I want to be wrong in both ways. I want this thing to fail, but I also don't want it to fail. I love technology, so I want things to work. So it's going to be interesting to see where it lands. Because if OpenAI IPOs and the stock sinks, it's going to bring down a lot of stuff. All right, so here I want this to be a different color. Right. Let's go ahead and take a look. See if I can break this up into two different parts. Of course, this started out pretty organic, but I'm, you know, going into my habit of making it more hard surface. Oh, we got somebody from China, Cheesy Boo. Got somebody from Twitter. Yay. Okay, so people from Twitter are watching this. Get the brain implant. Yeah, you know, I was kind of thinking about that. Like, I mean, I would love it if the brain implant would like switch brushes or do things for me. That, like if I think it, instead of like having to use keystrokes or whatever, that would be awesome. It would be awesome to control ZBrush with my mind versus my hands. That would be a cool thing. What I always think about with that is if you get a brain implant, let's say, and it allows you to control things, but what if, and this is the really, really scary part, what if somebody can, you know, use your implant to control your brain? How about that? Can you imagine that? All right, I'm doing a lot of work for something. Okay, yeah, see, now this is looking a lot different. And I think this is kind of a good point. To do some renders with what we've got so far. What happened to, oh, it got hidden. What? Where's that piece that we just added? Okay, it'll be interesting to do some renders with this just to see what we get. Yeah, but could you imagine, like, you know, there's a brain implant that you're supposed to be, that you can control things with your brain, but like some virus or some, you know, code takes over and it controls what your mind does. Like, let's say you feel like having an In-N-Out burger, And instead of you having an In-N-Out Burger, the minute you think In-N-Out Burger, the controls go like, no, Arby's. You should have Arby's. Yeah. Run Swanson's mustache. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do. Remember to like and subscribe. No, but let them know that, you know, I mean, seriously, people, let them know that this is something that you appreciate. Write letters to Maxon, let them know, because I don't know if they realize how the community likes and needs this kind of stuff. Actually, there is a Black Mirror episode that's kind of like that. There's a really, really good one with Rashida Jones, I think, is in it. That's a really, really good episode. Where she gets like this disease, but they're like, oh, you know, we can fix it. But, you know, you have to continue to subscribe to this service. And then the service becomes like, okay, well, now there's a plus version of the service. And unless you subscribe to that plus version, you know, you'll randomly be starting to say ads. And that's a really brilliant episode. You should definitely watch that episode if you haven't. That's one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes. Like, all Black Mirror episodes are really good. You know what I finally did see, though, is, what is it? Something Have Fun and Don't Die or whatever. I watched that, and it was being, yeah, that's the one. China Cheesy Boo. It's kind of funny that that they kind of marketed that as like, oh, it's like a like a Black Mirror episode, and it really wasn't. You know, I mean, it was good, but it was just kind of, I don't know. It was a little bit too deliberate, I think. I mean, it was fun to watch, but a little bit too deliberate for me. All right, these are starting to look like chicken tenders over here, so I'm gonna all right, I'm going to quick save because I'm going to use the knife brush, and it's a 50-50 chance with the knife curve brush if it works or crashes ZBrush. Oh, look at that, it worked. It worked, but something funky happened here. I think that looks a little bit better. All right, kids, we're coming to almost that time, and I will continue this in a couple of weeks, all things being equal. I just want to say a couple of things before I go. One is, again, please like and subscribe. Watch this live if you can, and watch streamers live if you can, A. And B, please remember that everything that I'm saying in here are my personal opinions and not those of Maxon, even though this is on a Maxon channel. They do, you know, they don't, it's not necessarily their opinion, especially in about some of the things about AI or whatever. Those are just my own personal opinions. All right, well, that's kind of looking interesting, right? I mean, kind of ominous. I might, next time I might just do a different version of this where it's not ominous, but it's like a, you know, I mean, right now it looks pretty ominous and mean, but I also want to do a version where it's like some nice guy, some cartoony, you know, happy guy. All right, so now with this bit of business taken care of, let's go ahead and do some more renders and see what we get. If we get some, oh, I didn't want that. That should go into builders. Okay. Let's bring the populace in, and let's do a, let's switch back to that toon render. There's some weird, yeah, no, that's good. And let's look at this. I think the people could be a little bit taller. And again, it's so nice. I can just go to that specific thing, go to Nanomesh, and just change the size up to, what is it, 0.05016, 0.05. Let's see what that does. Okay, 0.06. Oh, too much. 0.058. Yeah, that's good. All right, so now we've got this going on. Let's turn perspective on, and let's go ahead and give this a render. Let's do camera angle like this. All right, cool. So we've got something going on that we like, and I'll just add this as another camera angle that we can use. So now notice I can go between the different camera angles, right? Just by moving the timeline. And that way sometimes you find a camera angle that you didn't know about, like this one's a good one. So I just will add another camera there and just kind of move things around. Let's do a render of this one, and we'll call it a night. Okay, so if you guys have any last minute questions, you can ask about anything that we did today. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I'll stay on for a few more minutes, and if you don't, we will call this one a donezo, and we will see you in a couple of weeks on Friday. I don't know what the date will be, but not this Friday coming up, but the one after. My personal streams are on a bit of a hold right now, just because I'm evaluating a few things. But I will continue them again once I figure out whether I want to do them on YouTube or Twitch or whatnot. But China Cheesy Boo or whatever. Thanks for watching from Twitch and chiming in. And the rest of you, thanks again for tuning in. And wherever you are, hope, pardon me, you're having a good day or evening, and peace on earth, I guess. And happy ZBrushing. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.